Okay, today we discuss about inborn errors of metabolism. Inborn errors of metabolism. So, in parents, due to chromosomal or gene mutations, leads to metabolic disorder in children is called inborn errors of metabolism. So, this inborn errors of metabolism discovered by Archie Gerald in 1909. So, here generally the gene deficiency or gene mutations takes place at the prenatal stage or in before childbirth, so that leads to disorder whenever the birth is takes place. So this is called inborn errors of metabolism. This phenomenon discovered by Archie Gerard. Okay, so this is about inborn errors of metabolism. Here first one is a fructose intolerance or hypoglycemia. So it is one type of inborn errors of metabolism due to due to gene mutation. Aldolase B enzyme absent in liver cells, especially in liver cells. So aldolase B enzyme is absent. So what is the functioning of aldolase B enzyme? This aldolase B enzyme converts the fructose into glucose. Okay, so the aldolase B enzyme converts the fructose into glucose. Okay, so here in two genes are there, and capital A 12 alleles for 100% aldolase, and capital A small a 50% aldolase, and small a no aldolase. Small a here no aldolase. That means dominant gene can cause the what is recessive gene can cause the what is fructose intolerance. What means capital A mutated into small a here, capital A mutated into small a here. So here the whenever the glucose is absent, the increase the fructose levels in blood. So this leads to decrease the glucose level. Whenever the fructose level is very high, the glucose levels are decreased. Why? Because the fructose convert into glucose in the presence of aldolase. Okay, so it leads to this is called what is hypoglycemia. Here the glucose level is decreased in blood, that is called hypoglycemia. Here two situations are there, hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia means the increase the glucose level in blood, that is called hyperglycemia, and hypoglycemia means so decrease the glucose level in blood is called hypoglycemia. Generally glucose producing from whenever the digestion is takes place, from the carbohydrate glucose is produced. So by the digestion we can get the fructose from fruits. Now the aldolase is a special enzyme, the fructose convert into glucose. Okay, so this is called hypoglycemia. This is one type of inborn errors of metabolism. Second one, galactosemia here. So accumulation of galactose in blood is called galactosemia. Galactose is a blood carbohydrate. Generally the galactose convert into glucose. Okay, so the galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase special enzyme is present. So that enzyme converts the galactose into glucose. The galactose is a milk sugar, monocarbohydrate. Okay, monosaccharide. Okay, so the galactose convert into glucose in presence of galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. It's a special enzyme. Here this enzyme is absent, the galactose may not convert into glucose. So gradually the galactose levels are increased in blood, that leads to toxic. Okay, here the absence of galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase is a special enzyme. So why this enzyme is not producing here? This enzyme producing gene is mutated. In child whenever the embryo development takes place. Okay, so this is called inborn errors of metabolism. So this is about galactosemia. So accumulation of galactose in blood is called galactosemia. Here the special enzyme is absent, galactose 1-phosphate uridyl triphosphate. That enzyme is absent. whenever the enzyme is absent, the galactose not convert into glucose, so the galactose levels increased, that leads to toxic effect. So this is about galactosemia. Okay, and third one is phenylketonuria, PKU. So here the accumulation of phenylalanine in the blood, accumulation of phenylalanine in the blood, that is called phenylketonuria here. So the phenylalanine converts into tyrosine convert into epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine. So the epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamines are the neurotransmitters. So epinephrine, norepinephrine, these are called especially released by the brain cell and adrenal gland. Okay, so here these are the work like as a neurotransmitter, and dopamine also neurotransmitter. The dopamine blocks the acetylcholine activity in synapse, and epinephrine, norepinephrine, these are called 4S hormones and flight or fight hormones. In earlier classes you are studied. These are the fight or flight hormones. So by the epinephrine, the heart rate is increased, respiratory rate is increased, blood pressure is increased, BMR, basal metabolism rate is increased, and cell function totally increased. Okay, so by the norepinephrine, these all are reduced. So these are the flight or fight hormones. And dopamine is a special neurotransmitter, so it can remove the acetylcholine from acetylcholine receptor, which is present in the synaptic cleft. So the absence of dopamine, that leads to Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson disease. The absence of dopamine, one neuro disorder takes place. That neuro disorder is called Parkinson disease. Now in Telugu heroines Jamuna, she was suffering from Parkinson disease, and old age people are all are also suffering from Parkinson disease. So what is the why the disease takes place? So generally the acetylcholine can generate the action potential on next neuron. So whenever the action potential is generated on the next neuron, the acetylcholine must be removed from acetylcholine receptor, which is present in synaptic cleft. But that action done by the dopamine. So a dopamine is absent, there is no that type of reaction. So the one acetylcholine molecule can generate number of action potential on next neurons. So that leads to overstimulation of glands and overstimulation of muscles. That leads to muscle weakness. That disease is called Parkinson disease. Okay. So here and one more thing, accumulation of phenylalanine in blood in brain leads to mental retardation. So here the phenylketonuria having two species, especially the mental retardation in childs, and there is no production of dopamine and neurotransmitters. So these activities are decreased. So this is about phenylketonuria. Okay, and so alkaptonuria. So this is a special situation which is present in the cells, especially here the disorder takes place in phenylalanine activity. Okay, so at the top, phenylalanine convert into tyrosine convert into 4-hydroxyphenylpyruvic acid or pyruvate. So this is one pathway, and another pathway, phenyl acetate convert into hydroxyphenyl acetate. So these two are producing homogenic acid. It is also called homogenisate. So here the special enzyme is the homogenic acid oxidase. So this homogenic acid oxidase act on the homogenic acid. So it can producing the mallyl acetate. Okay. Now from the mallyl acetate by the special enzyme, the fumaryl acetate is produced, and from the fumaryl acetate fumarase is produced from the fumarase. So from the fumaryl acetate, fumarase and acetoacetic acid is produced. So this is the pathway. But here the special enzyme is absent, homogenic acid oxidase. This enzyme is absent. So there is no production of that enzyme. There is no production of fumaric acid, acetoacetic acid. So this leads to the overproduction of homogensate, so the homogenic acid stored in the fluids and tissues. Okay, so whenever it reaches to the kidneys are excreted excess amount of homogenic acid oxidase, homogenic acid. Now there is a homogenic acid present in the urine. So whenever this urine exposed to air, that urine convert into black color. So that is the reason why this disease is called alkaptonuria. In Greek means in Greek words, alkapto means black urine. Generally, why the black urine is formed? The homogenic acid react with oxygen and black color substance is produced. Okay, so this is about alkaptonuria. And one more neuro disorder is there, that is called gout. So is a special enzyme. So here the special enzyme. So ultimately the nitrogen bases purines are excreted in the form of uric acid. Okay, the purines are excreted in the form of uric acid. Okay, so here the uricase enzyme is absent. Okay, so the high amount of uric acid is produced. High amount of uric acid is produced. High amount of uric acid is produced. So this high amount of uric acid react with sodium uricate. This sodium uricate stored in joints. That leads to what is gout disease. Okay, so this is the one more disorder. Okay, so here this is about what is inborn errors of metabolism. Okay, so actually the gout is not inborn errors of metabolism, but the enzyme is absent, that leads to this overproduction of uric acid, that leads to gout. Okay, so this inborn errors of metabolism discovered by Archibald Gerard in 1909 year. So the fructose intolerance or hypoglycemia, second one is galactosemia, third one is phenylketonuria, fourth one is alkaptonuria. Here in fructose intolerance, there is no production of glucose from fructose because of the enzyme aldolase B is absent. Okay, that leads to hypoglycemia. And second one is galactosemia. So here there is no production of glucose from galactose. A special enzyme galactose 1-phosphate uridyl triphosphate is enzyme absent. There is no production of glucose from galactose. So the more amount of galactose stored in tissues, that leads to toxic level. Okay, so the absence of galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase, this is the enzyme. And phenylketonuria, here this is metabolism. There is no production of phenylalanine hydroxylase. So the phenylalanine convert into tyrosine. The tyrosine again convert into epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine. So these three all neurotransmitters. There is no production of phenylalanine hydroxylase. So there is no production of epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine. Okay. So the accumulation of phenylalanine in brain, that leads to mental retardation. Okay. So this is about what is phenylketonuria. Okay, so here this is tyrosine phenylalanine metabolism. and alkaptonuria. Here is also phenylalanine metabolism. Here the phenylalanine convert into fumarase and esteoesteric acid by two ways. Phenylalanine convert into tyrosine. Tyrosine convert into 4-hydroxy phenyl pyruvate. Okay, next that is one pathway, and another phenyl acetate convert into 2-hydroxy phenyl acetate, that is also again convert into homogenisate. This is also called homogenisic acid. So here the special enzyme is absent. That is called homogenisic acid oxidase. This enzyme is absent. There is no production of fumarase and acetoacetate. Okay, so the excess amount of homogenisic acid stored in tissues, so that excess amount decreased by excreted by the kidneys and entering into the urine. So whenever this urine exposed to air, so the homogenisic acid react with oxygen and it will convert into black color. Okay, so this is about alkaptonuria. So these are the inborn errors of metabolism.